been a while since I was in the pages of a tabloid magazine.
Well, we're going to get you back in there. Johnny had a brain hemorrhage on set at some point. Do you remember that moment? Was it super? Did you know how serious it was on set?
I mean, I don't know that anybody thought he had a brain hemorrhage in the moment, but yeah, like it was an awful situation. And I always consider it an awful situation every time we go to the bull ring. You know, like Knoxville has just always had this thing for getting in front of bulls. And if you look at the second Jackass movie, which came out in 2006, Knoxville did a bunch of stuff in that bull ring. And you can see me on camera just very, very palpably uncomfortable. Like, I just don't like it. I'm looking away, and it's always been that way. I hate seeing Knoxville get in front of bulls. And in Jackass Forever, when the bull scene comes up, it starts off with me saying, I don't like this. You know, I don't like this. At no point ever in my life, even when like life meant the least to me, I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't have it. I hate it. And I said, the movie's going so well. Why do we need to be putting our guy, the main guy, in front of a bull? Mm-hmm. And sure enough, the bull scooped him into a full 1.5 rotation. So he comes down on his head. And he's laying there snoring like it's just awful. Yeah. And he had a broken wrist, a broken rib, a concussion, and a brain hemorrhage. It's like, dude, I remember that night I sent a text to the whole cast, expressing to Knoxville how much I hate it when he gets in front of bulls. And that every time that we get past that and he's okay, it always is the greatest thing for all of us. For him to take these ultimate sacrifices, to take these ultimate risks, like he's the captain in every sense of the word, you know? And then at the end of this text that I sent, I begged him to not do that anymore. And I think that we've gotten to a place where we don't have to watch the captain get in front of bulls anymore.
Good. I'm glad. Well, congrats on the success of the movie. It's been a huge hit this past week. Does it surprise you that fans just keep coming back for more with you guys and they just want to see you make a Jackass out of yourself?
Yeah. Now that we're so much older, I was surprised that we even tried to do it. And I wasn't sure if we were going to get away with it. Yeah. It's funny because I'm very concerned about a point coming where it becomes creepy to watch us do this stuff. And Knoxville is absolutely convinced that the older we are, the funnier it is. And if we had been placing bets so far, Knoxville's winning.
Do you think there's going to be more movies to come after this one? Well, decades from now.
I mean, I honestly wouldn't be surprised. I feel like there were 4 years in between each of the first 3 movies. And then all of a sudden there was this crazy 11 years. Yeah. And now, after each of the first 3 movies, Johnny Knoxville said on the record, officially, it's over. There's never going to be another Jackass movie. And this 4th movie, Jackass Forever, is actually the first one where Knoxville has not said that.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, he's officially leaving the door open for another one. I think that having brought in new cast members, like fresh faces, younger blood, I think that sure seems like a little bit of a segue into continuing the franchise. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we saw the shortest space between movies and another one materialize. I don't know. And I can say certainly that nobody is making any plans yet, but nobody's ruling it out. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it happens sooner rather than later.
Well, that's exciting. Do you remember the first time you ever met him and kind of what your first impressions were?
Sure. Well, I was aware of Knoxville for years before I met him because I was a big fan of this skateboard magazine called Big Brother. And Knoxville was in the pages of Big Brother and also in the Big Brother videos, shooting himself with the gun and, getting in the bull ring. And he had this one, he says,
"Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville and I'm going to get hit by a car real soon."
And he's standing in the middle of the road, and sure enough, a car comes screaming through the frame, just blows him out. He goes through the windshield, rolls over onto the roof while it just it never stopped, this card. And all of that stuff made him just an instant legend. He was a hero to me before I ever met him.
Yeah.
And I'd been working on cruise ships as a circus clown, and part of my job involved walking on stilts on the deck of the ship. And I was up there. I was like 10 feet tall on stilts, so I was always really scared of if anything made me fall over. Like if my strap came undone, if somebody bumped into me, and sort of like that fear, it made me feel like I have to fall over on stilts as a stunt.
Yeah.
And I called up Jeff Tremaine, who was the editor-in-chief of Big Brother magazine. And I said, hey man, I've found myself very scared of falling over on stilts. So what I want to do is come out to California and get on my stilts, light my stilt costume on fire. Then I'll have a unicyclist ride through my stilts and all the fire, while simultaneously a skateboarder jumps off of a roof over my head and through a fireball that I'm blowing out of my mouth. And then when those two guys ride away, I'm going to crack open a beer and pound it while I tip myself over and crash onto the concrete. And then you guys can put me out. And Jeff Tremaine loved the idea. I flew myself out to California, put it all together. And he waited until I got there to let me know that they were filming it for a pilot for MTV, which of course would be Jackass. And that was the very first time I met Knoxville. He was the one who held the torch to the bottom of my stilt pants and ignited the blaze. He was the one who came over and, Knoxville put me out with the fire extinguisher when I crashed onto the cement. And that stunt, as epic as it was, it slipped through the cracks because nobody knew at that point that MTV was particularly touchy about fire. So we effectively filmed something that could never be shown. And it didn't matter. It really didn't matter that it could never be shown, because I think that the lengths that I went to make that happen, the willingness that I demonstrated, the creativity, the travel, all of it, I went to great lengths to make that happen. I think that earned me my spot on Jackass. They knew that I meant business, that I was committed. And, meeting Knoxville, he was a celebrity to me at that point. The world didn't really necessarily know about him,
right.
But boy did I. And, I felt like I was kind of meeting a hero way back then. I remember the date too, December 30th of 1999.
Wow.
It was my big blowout stunt for the Y2K craze.
Did the friendship start instantly after that?
I wouldn't say that, because I lived in Florida at that time and they were all in California, and it was just, we got together for that one shoot. Of course, Jackass got picked up and we started filming together more regularly. But back then it was really difficult to be around me. I had problems with drugs and alcohol, which made me a little bit abrasive. I'm still very abrasive and still a lot to be around, but not like back then. Okay. And I think that's why I say my relationship with Knoxville is so much better now, because I'm considerably easier to be around these days.